Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, you're going to meet a leading national expert on child sex trafficking. We're going to hear her incredible journey just ahead.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, I've been doing the show for many years, and I know when I first started doing the show, if you talked about human trafficking, we were thinking about something that happened in a third world country, but it is here, and everybody knows it. Child sex trafficking is a huge issue in America, and we're going to be talking to the author of this best-selling book. It's called Unlikely Warrior. Lisa Michelle is in the studio. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Well, I'm thrilled to have you in the studio. Why don't you share a little bit about your background? How did this start?
Sure. Well, this is something that I would never have put myself into. It was definitely a God-led thing through an illness that I had. And one day I was laying in bed feeling sorry for myself, and God told me to get up, pick up my mat, and to go. And it led me straight into the front door of a strip club. And so I went into that ministry for years and started to, for me personally, I had never been in a strip club. I was teaching little 4- and 5-year-olds BCSF and Bible study. And I didn't know if I wanted to go in because in my heart, I had so much hatred towards the men that were inside these strip clubs. And I just didn't think that I understood the women. Yes. And then after going in, I found out that she was me and that I was her. And I literally had a moment in the parking lot and thought, wow, I need to be doing this more. And then that led to a scene, trafficking that was happening inside of those businesses. And this started to awaken something that was happening in our city and in our state.
Okay, so let's dispel a myth, because I think that a lot of the men who frequent these clubs say this is a victimless crime. If the person doesn't want to work in a strip club, they don't have to work in a strip club. Talk to the man.
Well, the men that are in there, interesting enough, because a lot of times like I said, I had that anger towards them, but I've talked to a lot of them and they really don't want to be in there too. There's a lot of men that are struggling with loneliness. Their marriages are not good. And so they find themselves in a place that they didn't think they would be in as well. Now that part of it, I did not understand or see until I started to talk and get to know them. We actually have men that frequented the strip clubs for years that now are supporting our ministry and that are helping us now that they understand the dynamics of it all, and that the women themselves find themselves in these situations and the barriers that they've crossed, that they really don't want to be in there either.
We're going to pull up your website because your ministry is amazing and you're helping people all over the planet. Tell us more about your mission and your ministry.
Yeah, so for me, I am a survivor of trafficking. When I was 7 years old, I was trafficked by a businessman that was in Northern California. And he was a funeral director. Everybody trusted him. Our whole family trusted him. So from that time of going through that up until 12 years old, I became a victim of trafficking myself, of child trafficking. And he did that through pornography, with child pornography. So having my own lived experience and then having God call me out to the streets and going into the byways and going out into these places gave me a heart, because I understand, because I really can empathize and I understand what the girls are going through. And I honestly never thought that I would ever be able to have breakthrough mentally, spiritually, anything. I mean, I was stuck in the cycle of abuse, and I was stuck in these patterns that kept me from becoming the woman that I was meant to be and the woman that I am today. So I'm very thankful for that. And I want to give back to my community. And I don't want women to stay stuck in those places where they're at today.
And you're a woman of faith. Talk about how faith leads you.
Yeah. When I was 26 years old, I was led to the Lord. And for me, I'm an ordained minister. That is the key to everything that we do, because it is we anoint the buildings that we go into. We pray over the owners of the strip clubs and over all the traffickers that we get to meet and everything. We've had incredible encounters with them themselves. And so it's just a beautiful thing to be able to blend that faith and to bring faith to that community, because a lot of times they have gone through spiritual abuse and they haven't had a real good connection with God. And we're able to bring that tangibly to that darkness and to that place.
And I've watched a lot of your interviews, and you admit during the interviews that at one time you really hated men.
I did. Absolutely. I've spent most of my life hating men because I've found very few of them that I could trust and that just always wanted something from me. And I have found that in working in this ministry as well. But I have found that there are really good men in this world. We have, actually, you know what's really amazing is that the number one supporters of Untethered Ministries, the ministry that I get to lead, are men. Yeah.
So beautiful.
The financial supporters.
I want to talk about your best-selling book, because you wrote this a couple of years ago. It's called Unlikely Warrior, and we're going to put the book cover on the screen. Tell us about this book.
Yeah, this is my life story. This is everything. Everybody that reads this book tells me that they read it in one sitting, that once they start, they can't stop. And even my own stepfather did the same thing. He's like, I know her story, but it was incredible the way that it all unfolded and everything. This is also Pandora's Box. So this is a great book to give to anybody that's ever experienced child sexual abuse. And 60% of child sexual abuse survivors do not ever tell anybody their entire lives. So this book is an awakening, and it opens up the pathways for you to be able to articulate and to be able to talk about, because that was my biggest thing that kept me from being the woman that I am today, is that I was so fearful of telling anybody what happened to me and so fearful of ever talking about it. And I didn't want people to look at me and to identify me as this. I didn't want that to be my identity, and to it was, to me, it was embarrassing. There was so much shame. And here's the other thing that's really cool about this book. It has really spoken to men in a big, big way, and it has helped men to identify their own sexual abuse. I have men that have come up to me after speaking that have told me, I haven't even told my own wife. I've never told anybody my whole life that I've been sexually abused. So it is definitely Pandora's Box and an awakening, but it's my life story.
Well, tell me about the process of writing a book, because when you write a book, you can filter yourself. You can say, do I want to tell this part of my journey, or do I not want to tell this part of my journey?
Right.
Was it emotional for you to write this book?
It is probably one of the most healing things you can ever do. If you're ever considering writing a book, do it, because it's another layer of healing, for sure. It was like having a 20-pound baby. It was incredible. And there was so much of it that I wrote that my publisher took out, and I thought was so important, but she was brilliant in just putting it all together so the reader could capture my life story and capture the abuse and how I overcame and how God has used me today. Yeah.
And you said that people read this in one sitting. So what were the early reviews on the book? I mean, were you had to be gleeful that people were receiving the words the way you wrote them?
Well, especially because in second grade, I had to go to speech impediment, what is it called?
Pathology.
Thank you. I had to go to, learn how to speak. And I was not getting good grades. I was struggling in school. And the reason I was struggling is because I was going through trauma. And so for most of my life, I had an opinion of myself that I was not smart. And so for me to be able to write this book and articulate everything that I went through and to be able to put that all in one sitting is pretty amazing, that I had the cognitive skills. And it just shows you how much healing that has come to me as well. If you knew me 20 years ago, Jeff, you'd be like, that is not the same girl. So it is truly a miracle. And I'm writing my second book right now.
Let's that you anticipated my next question. So Mindful Warrior?
Yeah, the Mindful Warrior. So I started that this year. Hopefully I'll have it done by the end of this year. But it is a journey of the rest of my story. So I could have rewritten this book now, because this book, when it came out, there were other victims that were in the funeral home with me. And they actually gave me a lot more pieces to the puzzle and a lot more of my story that I did not know. So I could actually rewrite that. So I'm going to put that in there. And then also, I have been through a really big trauma in the last year of my life.
I'm sorry.
I know. And it's something that was unexpected, unplanned, and very painful for me. And at my age and all the trauma I went through as a child, I would not have thought that I would go through this. So when God told me to call it the Mindful Warrior, now I see why. Because we do need to be very mindful when we're going through challenging times in life and stay in the Word of God, for sure.
Okay, what do you want people to get out of your second book that you're still writing?
That's, you know, what's interesting is this book, I couldn't answer that until I was finished with it. So I just want people to stay steadfast. I want them to cling to the Lord and to keep their mind focused forward, because when we're focusing forward, we can't look back.
Let's talk more about child sex trafficking, because I touched on it early in the interview that people think of this as something that happens in a third world country. It's happening in our backyard.
Yeah, so just recently this summer, we did 2 undercover operations in Seguin and Schertz in Texas. This last operation that we just did, we had two juveniles that were recovered during one of the operations. So these were men. There were 30 men altogether that were arrested, and they were seeking children.
Wow.
So they were seeking 12-year-old. They thought they were talking to a 12-year-old online, and instead it was law enforcement. So they've all been arrested. They've been charged with a felony, and their lives are forever changed. And hopefully they'll get the help that they need, because for sure they need it if they're seeking out a child like that.
Let's go back to something I mentioned earlier, is that a lot of men who will frequent these clubs feel like this is a victimless crime, and the women who are here because they want to be here. Is that not true?
I wish that those men could sit every day with me in my office in San Antonio, and they could hear the stories, see the tears, and feel the pain of what each woman goes through, having to sell herself. I had a client recently that had to sell herself online to make her rent. And we didn't know about it until afterwards. Otherwise, we would have helped her right away. But when I heard her say that, and that she felt so dirty and just so awful doing that, I think that men need to realize that it's not just, somebody that's doing this because they want to. It's because they're trying to meet a need. They're trying to feed their kids, and they're trying to, keep a roof over them. So,
All right, where do you see your ministry going? Because I think you have a big vision, don't you?
I do, and I believe I've been prophesied that it will be worldwide. I have spoken to the nations. I work with the governor's office here in the state of Texas as a council member, and leading and over policy and helping them with all of the things that they do that are amazing, that is anti-trafficking. So I don't know. That's a great question, but I believe that we will be worldwide someday. And I do believe that we will have a home for the girls at some point as well.
So I know when you're attacking a problem like sex trafficking, you have to attack the supply and the demand at the same time. And if there were not guys going to the clubs, there would not be a problem.
Right.
So do you address this in your ministry?
Yeah, well, we've started to in the last few years. It's not my mission. It's not my exact calling, but I do have a heart for it. And this is actually the topic we just had a week and a half ago at the Capitol. This is the focus of the sex trafficking team of the governors this year coming up. Is we do want to focus more on the men, because that is where the root of the problem is. And at the heart of men, we need to focus there for sure. And I see that all the time in the work that I get to do. So I think that would be important.
Well, I think the problem is getting worse, every year. When I grew up, there was no online. If you wanted to go out and get a Playboy magazine, you got a Playboy magazine. Now you could go to YouTube and put in the right words and find pornography.
Instantly. I say the single most dangerous place that your child can be is alone in a bedroom or by themselves with a device. They can instantly have access to pornography. They can instantly have access to a perpetrator. They can meet somebody that's posing to be 15 years old when they're actually 30 years old, and they'll lure them out of the house into their, possession.
And it changes the mind of the person consuming pornography. All of this stuff that we're seeing online is just, actors and actresses. And so it becomes normal for a 16-year-old boy to watch, these fantasies play out.
Right.
And somehow the woman just becomes an object.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the boys lack empathy and don't look at her anymore as a human being, just a sex toy and something that is useful for them. And then unfortunately, pornography it's never ending. It gets worse for them. Yeah. This is how you end up answering an ad for a 12-year-old and end up knocking on the door at the hotel where we're sitting waiting for them.
And it's gotten even worse because now AI has gotten so good that, if you watch pornography, you can see AI examples. Do you feel like this is a crisis?
This is a pivotal time in America right now for us to really stand up and do something about AI as well, because this is a dangerous path that we're going right now. I had a client last week that shared with me her AI boyfriend, and she texts back and forth with him all day long, and she can put in, I didn't know any of this at the time, she can put in all, like how explicit she wants him to be, what she wants him to be, exactly what she wants him to look like, and she's in love with him.
Oh, wow.
And this is an AI boyfriend on her phone.
Yeah. I mean, relationships in general are, I think, in crisis because, if you have an AI girlfriend or AI wife, she never talks back.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, it's a strange, dangerous world.
It really is. We really need to be more involved and be a little bit more ahead of the curve in this, because I believe that we're in a dangerous time with that. Just like with cell phones. Yes. When cell phones came out, everybody was just looking at what it was and not knowing like where we'd be down the road here. And look where we're at today.
All right. So in the final 2 minutes, look into the camera on the left and talk to the woman, talk to the man who finds himself in this kind of downward spiral.
Yeah. Well, to the woman that is in this situation, first of all, I want you to know that you're not alone and that there is support out there. Untetheredministries.org is someone that can help. If we can't help, we're going to find you help. We partner all over the state of Texas and worldwide. We have partners. So just reach out. There is no shame, and we will love you through all of this and provide everything that you need. I've been there, I understand, and everybody that is with me on my team is a survivor as well. We have escorts, women that were engaging in prostitution, women that were working in the strip clubs, all the things. So you're not going to be alone for sure. To the man that is watching right now, I just want to ask you to just do a heart check. To just look inside yourself and ask yourself, how did you get here? How did you get to this moment in life? Because this is some of the darkest, scariest things that I've ever seen. And children and young women do not deserve to be objectified like this. And I just want to ask you to get professional help and to reach out to somebody and be brave and just stop doing what you're doing.
So powerful. We're going to end with her website, which is lisamichelle.org. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom and your faith with us. That's it for now. We'll see you next time.